you got Woodford, who pitches his ass off, and I'm not sure he has better stuff than Callis does. He should have gone 5 innings. He should have given up no runs, but he gives up 3 runs, and all of them should be charged to Oneil Cruz. I had not heard the Joe Block reaction.
Neither have I.
We had heard the Greg Brown reaction, and Greg was clearly annoyed with Cruz. Brian Reynolds on the field, clearly annoyed with Oneil Cruz. Joe Block, really annoyed with Oneil Cruz, and we all should be. Oneil Cruz yesterday goes 0 for 4, and he had a really dreadful series at the plate. He had 5 errors in the series, 2 on that one particular play, 3 in last night's game. They should have walked out of Houston 3 up, no down, but instead, it's great to take 2 out of 3, but not when there was more on the table. And so the obvious question I throw to you, the listener, and to you, Dorin, and to you, Nicholas Harry Callis, at 412-928-9370, should Derek Shelton have pulled him from the game? Should Derek Shelton sit him down for game 1 of the series coming up against the Arizona Diamondbacks?
I don't know if you'll go that far. Just like Shelton did say, like you need him to play through that. If you sit him down, then you might lose his confidence, like in a major way. But that whole play, like to me, there were people out there trying to justify that Cruz. And I understand, like, he was pressing. Like, he wanted to make a play. He wants to make a big play because he's been struggling. He wants to break through that. But people were trying to justify of him running to the outfield and trying to get that ball and saying that Brian Reynolds' mouth never moved. I'm like, first of all, like, it's a TV copy. It's like you're watching the TV. You don't know what's going on. And second of all, just like Shelton said, he's a professional baseball player. I don't care if Brian Reynolds' mouth moved or not. Everybody knows where that ball was hit, where it was going to drop, that it was Brian Reynolds' ball.
A routine can of corn to your left fielder.
You don't need to communicate that. You know that. He knows that.
The shortstop shouldn't be within 10 feet of the play.
Shouldn't be within 10 feet. He ran how many yards? 20? 20-some yards?
He was flying out there, too. He flies into... I wouldn't even say shallow depth left field. He's halfway to the freaking Crawford boxes.
It was mind-boggling that play ended up really losing the game, and obviously the throw after, the error after, then he had the error before that. I mean, this is all on Oneil Cruz. I do understand that there are people that want to see him sat down, or even in that moment or after that moment be sat down, but I think you would risk the confidence thing with him, and you need to keep his confidence high, especially heading into a big series coming back home. So I agree that they didn't sit him down, but if I was his teammate, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed.
There's no question about that, and it seemed to be that Brian Reynolds was. Again, just looking at the TV copy, but Reynolds was muttering to himself the rest of that inning, and then he went out there to left field, and they cut to him again, and he's talking to himself. Reynolds had to be ticked. Woodford reserve. I don't even remember the guy's first name already. Jared? What the hell's his name?
Jake.
That's the zapping sound effect when I get a name wrong?
Yeah.
That right there? It sounds like someone...
hitting a top of a aluminum garbage can.
Yeah, like Stomp.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Stomp back in the 90s?
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah. They'd have like the trash can lit. Yeah. Right after Mr. Rogers on PBS, you get stomped. Look at what that guy's doing with his shoelaces. That is what that sounds like. Or someone pulling out the Reynolds wrap to put over their steak to keep it warm or something. So Jake Woodford goes out and pitches his butt off, and he did not emote because he knows his standing on this team, and he's probably going to be up here for a cup of coffee. So he's probably internally screaming because this is his chance. And Oneil Cruz kind of screwed him. He screwed the team. And they should have and would have won the game if he just plays a clean game defensively, even though he gave nothing with the bat. Again, 0 for 4. They would have absolutely won the game if he just plays a clean game. If he only has the one error and not that debacle, they win the game. So any and all criticism of Oneil Cruz, in my opinion, is 100% warranted. However, I can't get on board with sitting him down. I can't. Oneil Cruz in July has been very, very, very good. He was starting to look like the guy that we think he can be consistently. 284 in July, 337 on base percentage, which for him is good. 580 slugging percentage with a 917 OPS, an OPS plus a 145, 5 homers. He had been playing really, really well up until this series. This isn't the 27 Yankees. Mm-hmm. You can't give Lou Gehrig a day off. Or you can give Lou Gehrig a day off.
Right.
Like, I don't know, Babe Ruth, he had too many hot dogs last night. We're still going to score 9 runs tomorrow. This team can't cut off its nose to spite its face in the middle of a playoff race. They are now 2.5 games back of a wild card spot. You've got like 3 legitimate bats on a given night. He's one of them. You can't bench him.
No.
You can't. And so I think it's incumbent upon Derek Shelton not to get into his face, because I don't know that Oneil's the kind of guy who responds to that. He's a jovial guy. He seems to have a ton of fun with baseball. I do think confidence can wane with him in like an Evgeny Malkin way, where he knows he's great, but even the greatest of the greats, sometimes they don't have the confidence, and the game gets too fast for them. I don't think you get in his face. I think you put your arm around him, and you say, Oneil, take a deep breath, man. Slow it down. And I saw some tweets to this effect. Apparently, on Sportsnet Pittsburgh after the game, they showed some clubhouse footage, and Rowdy Tellez went over and put his arm around Oneil and talked to him. That's a good teammate move. I think it needs to be on the manager just to say, hey, calm down. And then I think his teammates need to say, Oneil, you're so good, man. We need you. And you just need to play within yourself.
Right.
I think that's how you handle this kind of thing.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and you're right about the confidence thing, too. I don't think he's a get in your face and then respond type of guy. Like, he needs that arm around, and then he will realize, like, he was pressing. Mm-hmm. You know, he was trying to get out of it. And there's a piece of me, and I think a piece of us, that it's like, I'm actually okay with that, because it looks like he is trying, at least. You know, he wants to be better. He wants to get through. He wants to be a part of the team. He wants to be a part of winning, and he wants to contribute. So, like, a little bit of me is like, it's in a weird space. Like, I'm okay with him pressing, because that shows that he wants to be involved. But at the same time, there's a fine line with doing that. There's a fine line with overstepping that line. And he did that yesterday. And hopefully that's a learning lesson. And moving forward, that'll never happen. That's where successful players and successful teams, that's how they get to the next level, is whenever there is a mistake, don't let that happen again.
Yes.
Don't let that happen again.
Now, it has been something that we've seen with Oneil. And so it has repeated itself. So I get, especially emotionally in the moment, when people fire off their tweets, you got to bench this guy. I do get it. We are Pirates fans watching a team that we think got a shot to do something here. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I think if you do get into his face and you use the word pressing, I think he might press more.
Yep.
And I think he could spiral. And I don't think you can afford to lose Oneil Cruz for a week or two. I don't think you can afford to lose Oneil Cruz from a mental standpoint for a couple of games. You're so tight. Every team you're playing, you're battling for playoff position with. Like, here come the Diamondbacks. Again, you lost 2 out of 3 against them. You got to win the series at home. You need Oneil to be locked in. And I think if you were to pull him and he's off tomorrow, or today, because everyone's off, and then he doesn't play game 1, I think you run the risk of screwing with the guy. And I don't think you can win that way.